Evening on the farm. We welcome you to Klein Field at Sunken Diamond for not just ACC baseball, but for Bay CC baseball. Stanford versus Cal. Away we go, the game one of what should be a fantastic series, a historic baseball series with a little bit of a different twist. Should be fun. We're glad you're here with it for us on ACC Network Extra. Troy Clarity and Brian Brownfield taking you through this one. Brian, Cal 10-10, won a midweek game against St. Mary's, dropped 2 of 3 against Virginia last weekend. Stanford coming into this one on a 4-game win streak. They swept the Duke Blue Devils. They're 15-3 so far on the season, but you know good and well, Stanford and Cal, records don't matter. Big moments do. I'm looking forward to see what happens this weekend.
Yeah, you certainly can throw all the records for both these teams out the door for this one, but you got to be encouraged if you're a Stanford fan at how the Cardinal coming into this one. You highlighted their start to ACC play, significant because it's the first season in the ACC, and offensively things are clicking in a way that I think may be surprising some people around the country, knowing how the offense scuffled at times last year to put up runs on the board, win close games, win games late. Stanford has been able to do all of that so far in 2025, proof that returning as many players as Stanford has done here for this 2025 season, that experience is starting to gel into form, and it's looking really good for the Card.
Well, the players that they brought back from last year, plus 3 terrific freshmen who have all had big impacts for the Cardinal so far this year. Of course, Rintaro Sasaki taking top billing, the young man from Japan who homered 3 times last weekend. Meanwhile, for the California Golden Bears, 10 up, 10 down for them as they come into this series. They are 2-4 and tied for 12th in the ACC as today's action began. And perhaps still stinging a little bit, look, and we'll probably talk about this as the show goes along. Bears should have been in the NCAA tournament last year. Still maybe trying to put some things together so far this year.
They're getting close, and they're in the middle of a gauntlet in terms of their schedule. Ranked series against Virginia last weekend at home. Ranked series this weekend. Then they go to Louisville for a ranked series. Then they host Clemson. That's another ranked series. So it's a very tough stretch here in March and into early April that Cal's going to have to get through. But if they can get through this, pick off a couple wins, get a series or two, they're going to position themselves really nicely for the back half of the season, looking at the ACC schedule and the standings, because it's a jumbled mess right now in the middle. That's where Cal is in the standings. And if they can get through these next couple weeks, pick off a couple of wins, if their pitching staff can stay intact like it's been so far early this season, they should be in a good spot.
Cal and Stanford met 5 times last year. Cal took 3 out of 5 in 2024. Just 3 games between the Cardinal and the Bears here in 2025. As Stanford has taken the field, let's first give you the Cal batting order. Leading off, Jaron Advincula. Batting second is Alex Burge. Batting third, Cade Campbell, who's been the Bears' big bat so far this season. Ryan Taman, the designated hitter from the cleanup spot. PJ Moutsouridis batting 5th. Jacob French batting 6th. Seth Gwynn batting 7th, Dominic Smaldino in the 8th spot, and Carl Schmidt rounding out the Cal batting order. Your lefties are Advincula, Burge, and French. Cal batting .274 as a team coming into today, 14th in the ACC. You're showing the shots. You're seeing the shots of Stanford around the horn, or at least in the defense. Let's score on the outfield first from left to right. Tatum Marsh, Charlie Bates, and Brady Reynolds. Around the horn in the infield, Trevor Haskins at third, Timo Becerra at short, Jimmy Natai at second, and the Ichirushu, Rintaro Sasaki at first. Behind the plate is Charlie Salmon. On the mound for the Cardinal today is Matt Scott, the Friday night starter for his second consecutive season. 6'7", 245 pounds, the right-hander out of Reading, Connecticut. With a 4-0 record, about to make his 6th appearance and start on the season, an ERA of 3 flat. 27 innings pitched, 23 hits, 10 runs, 9 of them earned, 11 walks, 31 strikeouts, opposing batters hitting .225 against Matt Scott.
And Scott can certainly be a tone setter. That's why he's the Friday guy for Stanford. He's got some of the best stuff on this pitching staff, and one of the guys who's been here now for a couple of years. He's been in this Friday role for a couple of years, too. That certainly helps. And, when he's got the strikeout pitch working, he's darn near unhittable for Stanford. So excited to see what he's going to do here in this one against the Cal lineup that, like you mentioned, coming off of a pretty good game against St. Mary's in the midweek. 17 hits in that one for Cal, the most hits they've had in a game all season long.
Matt Scott on your left, Jared Advincula on your right. As we are about set to go, Stanford versus Cal. Finals week is finally wrapped up here on the farm. Woohoo! But the tests continue for Stanford baseball. And for Cal baseball, too. I forget whether they're on semesters or quarters now. Advincula leading off for the Bears. As Matt Scott kicks and deals. First pitch, fires a fastball right down Palm Drive for called strike one. First pitch at 6:05 p.m., so Julia Lee has us going on time. Advincula slashing .365, .427, .494 with 1 home run and 11 knocked in. .427 on base percentage, a team high. He's in the 0-2 hole right now. Advincula enters this series against Stanford on a 6-game hit streak. He has been torrid, hitting .481 during that span. Also enters the series having reached base in 15 straight games. Scott deals the 0-2. Misses upstairs, 1 ball and 2 strikes. Sophomore from Santa Ana, California.
Those two guys at the top for Cal, you mentioned it, Advincula and then Cade Campbell, a couple batters down the road. They've been really the heart and soul of this offense for Cal all season long. If they're going to get something going in this series, it's got to be from those two guys in particular.
1 ball and 2 strikes from Scott. Whistler down the first base line and foul, as Jose Esteras kind of had to do a little dipsy-do to get out of the way of that one. On a gorgeous evening at Sunken Diamond. Picture-perfect playing conditions on this second day of meteorological spring. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Popped up, playable. Sasaki is calling for it. Drifting back into fair ground, and he makes the catch for out number 1. Or is it astronomical spring? That might make a bit more sense, because I believe meteorological spring begins on March 1st.
Look, I'm not a Stanford grad, so you're going above my pay grade here.
In any case, 60 degrees, gorgeous, sunny skies, no threat of precipitation at all. It's always sunny at Sunken Diamond. Alex Burge, a lefty, at the plate for the Bears. Burge, a redshirt junior from Olathe, Kansas, transferred from Wichita State. Taps this one, and just ruled foul by home plate umpire Ramon Armendariz. Jose Esteras at first. Christopher Gonzalez is the second base umpire, and Lindy Hall is at third. As you look at Matt Scott, Burge transferred to Cal after 3 years wearing a Shockers uniform at Wichita State. No balls and 1 strike. Up high, 1-1. Scott, steady so far this season. 6 innings against Duke last week in his most recent outing. As this one's fouled back, just clips the top of the screen. The back netting, count goes to 1-2. Scott against Duke last Friday, 6 innings, 3 hits, 1 run, it was earned, 1 walk, 6 strikeouts. Got the win. Stanford swept the Blue Devils last week. The 1-2 to Burge. Tries a fastball, misses low and misses inside as well. Count goes to 2 balls and 2 strikes.
It's been a very similar start to the season for Matt Scott to what we saw last year. He's going deep into games with some consistency, right? He's made it past the 5th inning of work in 4 of his 5 starts, but he tailed off at the end of last year.
This one's a fly ball going to center field. Bates on his horse. He turns, he looks, and he watches it go. Alex Burge goes boom, and the Bears lead 1-0.
Great flash of opposite field power by Alex Burge, and taking a look at the replay, it was a fastball that was about knee-high, tailing away, and look, it was just a great swing. I mean, he got the hands through the zone first, dropped the barrel on it, and got that one right over that 375 sign in left center field. Great start for California to get that first one on the board and do it in a home run, something Stanford pitching. They don't allow a lot of home runs.
No, they don't. That's only the 10th home run they've given up this year. Now plus 19 in that category. Cade Campbell, the Bears' big bat at the plate right now. And this one's a high chopper sized up by Natai, playing behind the bag at second, and throws over the first in time for the out. Campbell, the Bears' team leader in batting average, runs, hits, home runs, RBI, total bases, slugging percentage, and strikeouts too, but he'd like you to focus on the ones except for that last one, I'm sure. Brings up Ryan Taman, the designated hitter. Taman, a sophomore from Grover Beach, California, down towards Pismo Beach in the Royal Grande. Great part of the state. Floats one in there for called strike one from Scott. Taman on the season, hitting .298, 2 home runs, 7 RBI. With a solo home run at Duke back on March 7th. Skies this one. Going back Nadai, called off by Bates, and Bates makes the hopping grab for the third out of the inning. However, Alex Burge puts the Bears on the board with a towering shot to left field. And it's Cal 1, Stanford coming to bat in the bottom of the first. Let's go ahead and give you the Stanford batting order while we have the moment. Starting off with Trevor Haskins, then the designated hitter Brandon Larson, Rintaro Sasaki, the much ballyhooed freshman from Japan, batting in the third spot, Charlie Salmon cleanup, Jimmy Nadai batting fifth, Brady Reynolds bats sixth, Timo Becerra bats seventh, Charlie Bates in the eighth spot, and Tatum Marsh rounds out the Stanford batting order. Your lefties are Larson, Sasaki, Reynolds, and Bates. Defensively for the Bears, as Cal has taken the field, in the outfield from left to right, Carl Schmidt, Seth Gwynn, and Jacob French. Around the horn, Cade Campbell, PJ Moutsaritas, Jaron Advincula, Dominic Smaldino. Behind the plate, it's Alex Burge, and Austin Turkington is on the mound for the Bears. Turkington, a junior from Los Gatos, California, just right down the street from us here. And Turkington on the season so far has been the Bears' best starter. About to make his 6th start and appearance of the year with 1 complete game to his credit. 3-2 record, 3.38 ERA, 24 innings pitched, 16 hits, 11 runs, 9 of them earned, 29 walks versus 10 strikeouts, with opposing batters hitting 182 against Turkington.
And he's starting to come into form here over his last 2 outings, right? You look at the game he had at Duke, picked up the win there, 7 strong as the Friday guy in that series. Then coming back against Virginia, going 6 2/3, also allowing 1 run. So 13 2/3 innings, 2 runs, and 17 strikeouts against 2 pretty good ACC programs. Yep. Certainly he's found his rhythm, and it all starts with how he's starting out these games, able to go deeper into games, getting that pitch count up as well. He's at 97 and 107 his last 2 games, so expect him to work deep into this game here tonight, and expect him to try and get ahead of these Stanford bats, which have been red hot. Or should we say cardinal hot?
Of note, though, Turkington was 6 hit batters so far this year, and a couple wild pitches, too. So let's see if that potentially comes into play this evening here at Sunken Diamond. Stanford is a team batting .311. That is 6th in the ACC. They've homered 29 times. And slugging .524 on the season so far. Meanwhile, Cal has a pitching staff, which is Mike New's bread and butter, as he was David Esker's pitching coach at Cal. Mike New, the head coach for the Bears. Cal 9th in the ACC in ERA with a 4.32 mark there. 1.31 in whip, but dead last in strikeout to walk ratio, 1.90. Well, here's Trevor Haskins, who has been magnificent for much of the season, staring in against Turkington. Haskins from San Jose watches the first pitch get pumped in there. Not down Palm Drive, I guess University Avenue or Telegraph, perhaps. Strike one called to Haskins. The junior from San Jose. Haskins slashing 319, 398, 611. Opposite field here, but to right, French reaches up, makes the grab, one away.
Jam shot at an inside-out swing there for Trevor Haskins. I might have just enough on it to drop it down in front of French out there in right field, but not. And that's a good sign for Turkington, too. The success to going deep into games is getting outs in just a couple of pitches. 2 pitches, 1 out. Good start for the righty.
Brings up Brandon Larson. Larson, 341, 2 home runs, 11 RBI. Swings and misses on the breaking ball from Turkington there. Larson, a junior from Rockland, California, just outside of Sacramento, transferred from UC San Diego, who is in the news on the hardwood this week. Taps at this one, fouls it over to the Stanford dugout, 0-2.
They had a pretty good game, didn't they?
Trojans did well. Of course, they're rode over in the NCAA basketball tournament, which we're not paying attention to at all here in the press box. No balls and 2 strikes to Larson. Down the line, right to Smaldino, who was able to recover and beat Larson to the bag, 2 away.
Nope, I'm definitely not checking my bracket every 5 minutes when games go final to see how I'm doing, which is not good, by the way, in case anyone was wondering.
No, we're not keeping a peek on New Mexico Marquette right now. No, not at all. Well, we're going to devote all of our attention right now to Rintaro Sasaki, the freshman from Japan who's coming to the plate. He homered 3 times this past weekend against Duke, the first 3 home runs of his Cardinal career, a much anticipated event. Sasaki hitting 338 with those 3 home runs, has driven in 22. That's tied for the team high. And cranks this one to right, drops it down for a base hit. A loud single to right for Rintaro Sasaki.
Look, if you're going to try and go in on Rintaro, you got to make sure that pitch is in. And if it leaks back over the middle of the plate like that one does, you're going to get burned by it. Maybe not the quickest in terms of exit velocity off the bat that we've seen him hit, but he's just got such lightning quick hands. Knows how to drop the barrel down on the bat, on the ball, and it's so fun to watch him. And even if he's not hitting home runs, if he's out there lining singles to right field, it's still just as impressive.
Even when he wasn't hitting home runs, he still found ways to reach base in 14 straight games to start the season. Som swings and misses at the first pitch he sees for strike 1. It's Charlie Som, a veteran, the senior from Thousand Oaks, California. Facing off against Turkington. And that pitch tails outside, 1-1. Som on the year, hitting 242 with 4 home runs and 11 RBI. Has walked a team high 13 times. Looking at Tarkenton. Off speed, floats over for a called strike 2. I knew I was going to slip and go Tarkenton at least once during this show. It's that old school NFL films in me. Think back to Fran Tarkenton, the great quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings back in the day. Look him up, kids.
Believe it or not, I do know who you're talking about.
A 1-2 pitch. Just got a piece of it. Stays alive, 1-2.
I don't know if that surprises you or not.
No, it doesn't. Austin Turkington, a junior from Los Gatos, and by far a veteran on this Cal squad. Delivers the 1-2, that's up and out. Count goes to 2-2. Turkington, more appearances, 49 now, and more starts, 13, than any other pitcher on this Cal staff. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Got him. Swing and a miss, strike 3. And the inning is over. Bears lead the Cardinal 1-0 after 1 on ACC Network Extra. BJ Mutsuritas striding to the plate. Bears have a 1-0 lead as we head to the 2nd inning. Troy Clardy, Brian Brownfield here with you on ACC Network Extra. Start of a long-running feud on the baseball field and beyond between Stanford and Cal. But this time it counts in the ACC standings. Cal picked to finish 13th in the ACC preseason poll. Stanford picked to finish 8th, but came into today's business in 3rd place. PJ Moutsouridis looks at the breaking ball that misses just a little bit outside from Matt Scott for ball 1. PJ, a sophomore from San Jose Valley Christian High School. That school's well represented on this field between both of these squads. 1 ball and no strikes from Scott. Bounces foul as he pulled that one down the line. Moutsouridis slashing .272, .344, .420 with 2 home runs and 14 RBI. Second-team freshman All-American from Perfect Game last year. First team All Pac-12. 1 ball and 1 strike to PJ. Fastball, strong one, outside corner, called 1-2. Quiet start for PJ in his first 10 games this season. 171 and 4 driven in, but much better since. For the last 10 games, hitting .375 with 10 RBI. And puts this one in play right where Jimmy Natai was not, as he was shaded more towards the second base bag. And Moutsouridis is on with a leadoff single.
Great piece of hitting. Got a similar type fastball that Scott had threw to get ahead 1-2 right there on the outside corner. He said, "You're going to throw me that same pitch? I want to just put a simple swing on it, shoot it the other way." That's just a smart piece of hitting, knowing that you're leading off the inning. Get somebody on base, see what the guys behind you can do.
Brings up lefty Jacob French, sophomore from Benicia, transfer from San Francisco State. Claps this one. Natai dives and can't get to it. That's a base hit. Moutsouridis speeding over into third. Runners at the corners. PJ at third and Jacob French at first with nobody out.
It looks like, from my vantage point, these Cal hitters are starting to sit on that Matt Scott fastball. The first inning was a very heavy dosage of fastballs from Scott, and it's great to do that the first time through the order and just show peaks at your off-speed pitches. But when you get too comfortable settling into just the fastball early in counts, other teams, they'll start to realize that. The guys further down the order, information passes down from hitter to hitter, and it looks like these guys have been sitting on it.
Hey, guys talk to each other, if you do it right anyway. Seth Gwynn, the batter for the Bears. Sky to center field. Bates taking a few steps back, makes the grab. Moutsouridis on the move, and he scores. Sac fly RBI for the Bears. 2-0 Cal.
Again, first pitch fastball, and it was a hittable one. And, you know, when you got a guy like Matt Scott who's going to fire in strikes, that fastball is going to have a shot to be teed off on, and that's exactly what Gwynn did. Knew he just had to get one to the outfield to bring home the run, and just like that, a couple of single runs for Cal early, one of the first, one of the second, and important for them to get out to that early lead, knowing the way Stanford bats have been hitting as of late.
Home plate umpire Ramon Armendariz and David Esker having a brief chat near the Stanford on-deck circle. David Esker in his 8th year as the head coach at Stanford. After 17 years, check out 18 years as the head coach at Cal. And of course, he spent his playing days right here on the farm, helped Stanford win a national championship in 1987. Dominic Smaldino, the batter, with 1 in, 1 on, and 1 out. Fastball, high strike called by Armendariz for strike 1. Smaldino on the season, hitting .211, 3 home runs, 13 driven in. Sophomore from Ladera Ranch, California, blocked by Som. French not going anywhere at first. Som and Scott, a couple veterans on this Stanford squad. 1 ball and 1 strike. Opposite field, tailing away from Reynolds, and that drops for a base hit. How far is French going to go? He holds up at third. The throw in at second. And the Bears have runners in scoring position.
one that was cutting away from the barrel of Smaldino. And again, a very similar approach all these Cal hitters have had so far. They're not going up there trying to just mash everything to their pull side. If the pitches are thrown on the outer half, they're taking them that way. And it seemed like it was almost off the cup of the bat of Smaldino. Didn't get a whole lot of it, but a lot of real estate out there down the line. And he hustles into second for a double. Keep the pressure on here for the Bears.
Keep the train moving for Cal. Carl Schmidt, the batter. Schmidt hitting .286, 1 home run and 8 driven in. Time called. Schmidt, a redshirt freshman from Petaluma, transferred from Texas A&M after a redshirt season in College Station. Scott misses with the fastball down low. Schmidt with a grand slam and a 2-run double at St. Mary's on Tuesday. The Bears just hopped over the other side of the hill in Moraga to take on the Gales. Soft toss back to second.
Especially with all the extra ACC travel that these teams are now going through. You're going to see a lot of those midweek games against teams here in the Bay Area, right? St. Mary's, then they go to San Francisco on Monday after this series. They got one against Sac State as well coming up here in a couple weeks.
Had a few against Santa Clara earlier this year. Cal actually began the season on a 10-game homestand. So they actually didn't have to bring their road jerseys with them anywhere until they went down to Santa Clara for a couple games down there on March 2nd and again on March 3rd. Then they headed to Duke. One ball and one strike. That's a fastball low and away. 2-1. How's that for a study in contrast and travel?
Right.
For a couple games, you just hop on 24 and head through the tunnel. Then you turn around and hop on the plane for 5.5 hours back east.
Don't leave the state until your first conference series. Yeah, that makes sense. Don't leave the time zone until your first conference series.
Hit to center. Bounces in front of Bates. That scores 1. And that scores 2. Carl Schmidt delivers 3 across for the Bears with a 4-0 lead over Stanford.
Another very hittable fastball for Matt Scott, and ones that are just starting to get a little bit too much of the plate. Center cut, that one was right down the heart, and California has really taken advantage of those hittable pitches here in this first time through the order against Matt Scott. The location's just got to be a little more crisp if he wants to settle down and throw a couple zeros up on the board.
So 4 across for the Bears. Still one out here in the top of the second. And back to the top of the order we go. Jaron Advincula at the plate. Pitch up high for ball 1 from Scott. On top of the streaks that Advincula is carrying into this game that we told you about before, he's also coming into this game with 3 straight 3-hit games and a 4-game RBI streak. Fouled off, 1-1.
Is that good?
It's pretty good. I think a lot of folks take that. It's not a bad way to come into a series against your hated rival.
I mean, when you're getting that from the leadoff guy, too, I mean, that just makes everything else easier for guys 2 through 4, 5, however deep you want to go in the order. Your leadoff guy is getting on base with that kind of regularity and driving home guys from the bottom of the order who are on base in front of them.
Yep.
That's such a valuable trait to have in your leadoff guy.
And he sends this one deep to right. Reynolds has a beat on it. He turns, and he watches it go. The Bears are blowing up here on the farm. Advincula makes it 6-0 Cal.
That's also a pretty good trait to have in your leadoff guy. Somebody who can go yard like that one. Fastball belt high, it was drifting away, but the barrel got out there for Advincula, and he absolutely crushed that one to right field. And what an exclamation point, and what a way for Cal to make its presence known here in this first ever ACC series between these two squads.
Boy, how about this? I Meanwhile, Alex Burge, who got the party started for Cal with a solo home run in the first inning, he's at the plate. He watches a fastball go down low for ball one. Well, even though you're starting to see some warm-up tosses in the Stanford bullpen, if you're David Esker and Thomas Eager, the assistant coach in charge of pitching for Stanford, I'm sure you're very eager to see how Matt Scott responds from this bit of adversity as he deals strike one here.
Right, and that's going to tell you a lot about the kind of pitcher that he is. What happens when you give up 6 runs early in a game? He's only thrown 30 pitches. Like, he has plenty left in the tank, and he can still get you 3 or 4 more quality innings after this.
Tries a breaking ball, misses inside, 2-1.
And that will help Stanford the rest of this series if he's able to help save some of that bullpen by still getting deeper into this game. And who knows, you know, we're in the second inning. There is a lot of time for Stanford's offense to start coming around as well.
2 balls and 1 strikes to Burge. Inside, 3 balls and 1 strike. Stanford, in the course of its 3-game sweep over Duke last week, never had to use more than 3 pitchers in any of those games against the Blue Devils last week. And the bullpen has been magnificent for much of this season. 3-1. Outside, 4-1. Which would be a walk.
You confused me there.
I confused myself there for a second, too, as you look at Ben Reimers warming up.
Yeah, and this is, I think, what you don't want to see out of Matt Scott is, again, I've been talking about how the location's been real juicy for these Golden Bear hitters with where that fastball has been residing in the zone. And then right after giving up the big one, the home run, now you're starting to fight it a little bit. Now you're starting to get a little too cute, and you're trying to paint the corner, and you're missing. And that's a problem. If he can't locate the corners, he's going to have to come right back into the middle, and Cal has not had any issues when he's been living there.
Okay, Campbell at the plate now. Campbell grounded up to second on the first pitch that he saw back in the first. Campbell with a team-high 738 slugging percentage, also a team-high 417 batting average coming into today as Scott deals ball one. Campbell homered 3 times himself at Santa Clara on March 2nd. Cal homered 8 times that day. Swing and a miss, as Campbell might have been thinking about one of those home runs on that swing.
Well, they're on pace for 9 today.
There's that. Those 8 home runs, by the way, tying a Cal school record. Long and illustrious history of baseball in Berkeley. A 1-1. Breaking ball just misses outside, 2-1. Scott gave up 6 runs at North Carolina on March 7th. 5 of them were earned, but was charged with a no decision there. Stanford came back to win that one, 13-9. 2 balls and 1 strike. In the air, fouled off.
Well, and not to sound like a 6-0 hole is not significant, but Stanford has 8 comeback wins on the season.
There's that.
And it is the second inning. So, you know, again, that's where the importance of settling into this game in some capacity is so paramount for Scott and for Stanford, because you know your bat's going to bail you out. It's happened before, and it's happened in Matt Scott starts.
2-2 to Campbell. This is down low. Scott says, ooh, I wish I had that one back. 3-2. Scott gave up a career-high 8 runs at Arizona on May 3rd of last year. A mark that he hopes is not reached anytime soon. Swing and a miss. And Campbell goes down on strikes.
Big recovery there, and you know, the one good thing that Matt Scott has done in this game is he's kept a lid on Cade Campbell through 2 at-bats. He's held him hitless through 2 tries, but encouraging to see coming back to a 3-2 and getting that strikeout, not walking back-to-back, and a great recovery after walking the first guy. Now a chance. Okay, get out of this inning and hit the reset button if you can put away Taman.
Taman flew out to center to end the first. And that ball's headed there in this direction, but instead it drops in front of Bates and extends the inning. Bears have batted around. PJ Mutsurita started all this with a single to lead off the top half of the second. And Thomas Eager, the Stanford Cappy Wolf assistant coach, who's also in charge of pitching, heading out to the mound, and he's going to make the call to the bullpen. So uncharacteristic evening for Matt Scott here as he lasts just an inning and 2/3. And Stanford turns it over to the bullpen. Ben Reimer's coming into the game. More on him in just a moment. Bears have opened up a 6-0 lead top half of the second on ACC Network Extra. Cal has jumped on the Cardinal in the early going. It's 6-0. Bears leading Stanford here in the top of the second inning. Matt Scott's evening is done. So Stanford now turning to Ben Reimers, the sophomore from Aliso Viejo, California. Reimers, about to make his 8th appearance, has a 1-0 record and a 2.45 ERA. 11 innings pitched, 6 hits, 3 runs, all earned, 3 walks and 5 strikeouts. Opposing batters hitting 167 against Ben Reimers. Stanford bullpen has been magnificent of late. The last 4 games, they've thrown 13 2/3 innings, have not given up a single run, 2 walks, 19 strikeouts. Stanford will need that sort of performance from its bullpen again here today. First batter is PJ Mutsuritas, who pops this one up. Sasaki settling under it, lip of the grass, comes back and makes the grab to retire the side. A damaging inning for the Bears. 5 runs on 6 hits with the big blast, a 2-run shot by Jared Advincula. And it's Cal 6, Stanford nothing, bottom second straight ahead. All Cal here in the early going as we head to the bottom of the second inning, and the Bears have a 6-0 lead over the Stanford Cardinal. Bears have sent 14 batters to the plate. This will be Stanford's 5th. It's Jimmy Nadai, the junior from Sydney, Australia. Nadai on the year, slashing .282, .338, .507. 4 home runs, 15 RBI. Turkington misses there for ball 1. Nadai with a team-high 22 doubles last season. And last year, he hit 2 home runs in the same inning against Cal. Went deep twice in the bottom of the 5th on April 27th of last year. Misses inside. 2-0 from Turkey.
Any idea on when the last time that happened at Stanford?
You know, Tyler Guyvette, the fantastic sports information director of Stanford Baseball, I believe had that note when it happened. I would need to do a little research. But it has happened. And I want to say that it's happened a bit more recently than I think.
That's such a hard thing to do.
Yeah, for so many different reasons. 3 balls and no strikes from Turkington. Outside corner call. 3-1. I mean, it's not 2 grand slams in the same inning. take 2 home runs in the same inning nonetheless. Swing and a miss. Count full on that eye. And I began the season with an 11-game hit streak. Fly ball down the right field line could be playable. French watches it plunk down in the front end of the Stanford bullpen. Normally, during the course of the season, the bats are a bit quiet at the start. Then things start to heat up a little bit, normally as the weather starts to heat up too. But Stanford has, by and large, come out hot with the bats so far this season. They'll need that again here tonight. Look at the score. 3-2. Swing and a miss. Turkington with a gorgeous change. Oh, gets net, I swing it.
That was pure filth. I mean, that thing, the way that it started moving away and then it kind of broke back at a little screwball action on that one from Austin Turkington. That was pure filth on the 3-2. I think it's the first time also we've seen him pull the string on that one, so I don't think that was on that eye's radar at that point, but that's going to travel fast in that Stanford dugout.
Mm-hmm. Brady Reynolds, the batter, the sophomore from Bakersfield. Reynolds has gotten off to a terrific start. He actually leads Stanford with a team-high .365 batting average, 6 home runs, tied for the team lead, 46 total bases. That is the team lead. Slugging .730 on the season as well. Curve gets the inside corner called. 1 ball and 1 strike to Reynolds. As Turkington started to show a bit more of the toolbox. A 1-1 pitch from Turkington. Off speed, swing and a miss by Reynolds. 1-2. Turkington appeared in 3 games against Stanford last year, through 5 1/3 scoreless, with a walk and 4 strikeouts. Got a win on May 13th of last year and a save on April the 28th. So he had good success against the Cardinal last season. He's hoping to keep that going in what will, in all likelihood, certainly during the regular season anyway, be his only shot at Stanford this year. The 2-2 pitch. High and outside, 3-2. Normally, over the past few years, Stanford and Cal have played a couple of non-conference games on top of an in-season conference series. Not the case this year. Payoff pitch. Tagged and fouled off and out of play.
Don't you find that a bit strange that in this year, where both programs are having to traverse the country more than they have in the past, that they're not having any midweek games against each other?
I would say that normally, but and maybe even more so because there was just such little ramp-up time between the start of the regular season and the start of ACC play. You have about 3 weeks in between. Reaches out and sends this one down the left field line on his horse and making the grab right on the line. Carl Schmidt goes out and gets it. 2 away.
Yeah, one of the intricacies of having an ACC that's got, 16 teams in it, is you're playing a bulk of your season in conference play, and you have to start it early in order to make your way through the league season. So, yeah, I mean, normally you wouldn't see a conference series start really the second week of March, before the first traditional day of spring. But that's been the case, and already hard to believe the 3rd series in ACC play underway after just a couple non-conference ones to start in February.
Yeah, for both of these teams. Cal 2-4 in ACC play. Stanford 5-1 with Timo Becerra at the plate. The senior from Clovis, California. Becerra hitting .359. No home runs, 14 RBI. High and outside, ball 2 to Timo. The ACC, a 16-team league. Syracuse and SMU sitting out baseball in the ACC.
They don't want to play baseball in the Dome?
Swing and a miss. Count goes to 2-1 there. They play everything else in that building.
Right.
Why not? Then again, you might just play lacrosse, Syracuse lacrosse is a huge deal. Don't want to get them ticked off. The 2-1. Slow roller to second. Advincula was positioned, and he throws over to first in time for the out. 3 up, 3 down. 6-0 Cal after 2 on ACC Network Extra. All Bears in the early going as Cal leads Stanford 6-0. Start of the third inning. I'm Troy Clarity. He's Brian Brownfield, and he's got the call, the 3 and the 4.
The left fielder for the Golden Bears will get us started with Cal trying to ride the wave offensively. A run in the first, 5 runs in the second against Matt Scott. It's Ben Reimers out there for his first full inning of work for Stanford out of the bullpen. Threw 1 pitch to finish off the second, got Boutsaritas to pop out to Sasaki at first. French, Gwynn, and Smaldino here for Cal in the top of the third inning. Reimers taking his time from the stretch, kicks and delivers. First pitch swinging is French, and he shoots one in the left center for a knock. French with a turnaround first, but he'll hold up there as quickly that one's fired in by Marsh. But already 8 hits in 2+ innings for California after a season high in hits against St. Mary's earlier this week.
This from a team that came into the game batting just .274 as a team, 14th in the 16-team ACC. Those numbers are perhaps going to skyrocket here at the end of this one.
Yeah, offense has not been a strength of this Cal squad this season. Lower scoring games, and I say lower scoring with kind of an asterisk next to it as the first pitch misses high to Seth Gwynn. The way that the college game, Troy, has kind of changed now, right? Most teams, if you have a good ERA, you're in the 4s, right? You're no longer in the 3s or the high 2s. And so you look at Cal and you go, well, they're last in the ACC in scoring. They're averaging just shy of 7 runs per game.
Yeah.
Gwynn on the ground to third. Haskins to second for 1. The relay to first is in time. Around the horn go the Card. 5-4-3. The double play, just what the doctor ordered for Ben Reimers.
Well, if you're Stanford, you need your pitching and you need your defense to really pay off big dividends for the rest of this game. And defense has been terrific for Stanford for the most part so far this season. Cardinal tied for first in fielding percentage in the ACC entering this week.
Base is now clear for Dominic Smaldino, who doubled and scored in that second. It's 6-0 Golden Bears here, top of the third. Reimers readies. His first offering is a breaking ball that stays a bit high. And last in on-base percentage, last in runs per game for Cal offensively. 15th in walks. But already 6 runs on 8 hits for Cal here. Midway through the third, a swing and a miss on another breaking ball. And that levels the count up at a ball and a strike. Infield to pull, and that one misses away. 2 balls and a strike. As Reimers tries to find it once again. We've seen the Cal bats too so far. This one, they're not afraid to swing early in counts. They've done so a lot against Reimers. This is the longest AB he's had, and that's pitch number 4 of said at bat. It's down and away with a fastball. Now it's 3-1.
First 2 batters Reimers faced by just 1 pitch. Seth Gwynn needed just 2 pitches to ground into the 5-4-3 double play. It's Baldino about to face a 3-1 here.
One lifted in the air towards the Stanford dugout. Sohm tosses the mask. Sasaki coming in for support, but reaching to his left is Sohm, and he grabs it to retire the side. So 3 batters up, 3 batters eventually set down thanks to the 5-4-3 double play, and we're halfway through the third. It's California 6 and Stanford nothing. We've reached downstairs third here on the farm. It's 6-0 Cal over Stanford, game one of this three-game series. And Stanford will bring up 8-9-1 against Austin Turkington. Charlie Bates will stride in first to try and get Stanford rolling here offensively. They've been held to just one base runner. That was the Rentaro Sasaki single in the first. Cal has had no problems on that end. 8 hits already for an offense that's been relatively quiet throughout most of the 2025 season. First pitch from Turkington, swung on and missed, bearing down and in towards the back foot of Bates. Bates, a .250 hitter on the season, no home runs, 5 batted in. Slugging at .411. The 1 is taken just below the knees.
It's a matchup of two guys, Turkington and Bates, who were both born at Stanford Hospital. Of course, Charlie Bates went to high school right across the street from us here at Palo Alto High.
1-1, inside out swing fouled off to the left side.
Charlie Bates' granddad, Jim, actually played football at Cal.
The amount of Stanford and Cal crossovers within families and within even coaches that have been here now, obviously we talk about David Esker, but in years past as well, is quite remarkable.
Yeah. We were talking about this during the Duke series, Jennifer, Sarah, and I. And of course, with Duke being Stanford's opponent at that point, we muse how often that might have been an occurrence between Duke and North Carolina. And we surmised pretty much next to 0.
I would have to imagine that amongst any major college rivalry, it's probably got the most crossover of any two programs. Bates and Turkington locked into a good battle here after a couple of foul balls. It stays at 1-2. Bates has hit safely in 3 straight entering the weekend, all 3 games of that Duke series. 1-2 is in the dirt. And in that Duke series, the bottom of the order was really carrying its weight for Stanford, setting the table for the top of the order and creating a lot of havoc against that Duke pitching staff, which was pretty good before that 3-gamer against the Cardinal. Now a great at-bat here for Bates as he watches that one drop down and in. Counts run full.
Yeah, you've got Bates, a freshman, at the plate right now. Tatum Marsh, who's in the on-deck circle, and Rentaro Sasaki. 3 freshmen who have all made big impacts for Stanford this season.
The payoff from Turkington. Check swing on a pitch that was bearing down. And Armandez, our home plate umpire, says you went around. That's the 3rd strike and the 3rd strikeout for Austin Turkington.
Yeah, Bates just unable to hold up. Yep, went around. Another look. Yep. Easy call for Ramon to make. That brings up Tatum Marsh.
So the 9th place man for the Cardinal, the left fielder Tatum Marsh, as Stanford trails 6-0. Shadows completely over the playing surface now here at Sunken Diamond as the first one drops down and away. Marsh, a .347 hitter, making his 16th start of the year. 2 home runs, 11 driven in. Slashing .500 and .633 behind that. That one fired in there for a strike.
So the sun's setting beyond the coastal foothills behind the campus. No marine layer. And this ballpark can play a bit differently during nighttime than it can during the day.
The 2-1 is hit sharply into left field for a base hit. Over the leaping Mutsaritas at short. And the 9th place man, Tatum Marsh, continues to stay hot. He singles to left field and will turn the lineup over back to the top of the order for Trevor Haskins.
The impressive freshman just doing what he has done for much of the season. Terrific work dropping it down in left. 4 base hits.
15th straight game now that Marsh has reached base safely. Brings up Trevor Haskins. Just the 2nd hit of the game for Stanford. Infield playing to pull. 3 on the left side here for the righty Haskins. The first pitch he sees, he sends into shallow center field. Gwynn hard charge. Now he's pulled up into a jog and he makes the catch for a very quick out number 2.
Yeah, no marine layer here tonight. which can certainly deaden the ball a bit, make the air a bit heavier, but not tonight. Still a bit on the chilly side with the wind blowing from, looks like from right to left at this exact moment, if anything, out to left. But the ball can get out of here in a hurry during hot day games, but it's neither hot nor is it daytime here right now in Sunken.
Brandon Larson is up with a man on and 2 down. And the first pitch is down and in. I think, Troy, that's what has made the offensive explosion early this season for Stanford all the more impressive, because you're playing baseball here in the Bay in February and in March. The perception to those maybe outside of the area, well, it's California, the weather's got to be great, right? Not always the case, as that changeup flutters in for a strike and evens the count up at 1-1.
That being said, it's supposed to be 80 degrees on Tuesday.
Yes, it is. And I think it's supposed to be pushing that on Monday as well when Stanford hosts San Jose State with a 2 o'clock first pitch right here on ACC Network Extra. 1-1 with a changeup, and Larson was out in front.
There have been times when Turkington has been able to change speeds very effectively and go to his off-speed stuff. An impressive strikeout earlier in the game with Jimmy Nadi on a screwball, basically.
3 on the right side of the infield here for the lefty Larson. He stayed on that one and sends it to right field for a knock. So a couple of hits in the inning for Stanford. It keeps the inning alive and now brings up Rintaro Sasaki. So a chance for Stanford, and its leading RBI guy, tied with Trevor Haskins, Sasaki is, to perhaps make a little 2-out noise and start to chip away after Cal was held scoreless in the top half of the inning for the first time. Two on and 2 outs. Turkington, first base side of the rubber. And that one sent to left field for a base hit. There was nobody there. Around third is Marsh. Here comes the throw-in from left by Schmidt. It's cut off. And an RBI single for Rintaro Sasaki puts Stanford on the board in 2-out fashion in the bottom of the third. Chip it away time. It's 6-1.
Well, they don't all have to be home runs in order for Sasaki to make some noise. Just a masterful piece of hitting. Just beating the shift. Hitting them where they ain't. And Sasaki putting Stanford on the board. He does have those 3 home runs from over the weekend, and they all were in big context. The second one was a walk-off shot to beat Duke in the second game of that series, and the third one gave Stanford a lead in the series finale in which they would not relinquish. So Sasaki coming up with big context hits throughout the course of this season.
There's Charlie Somm, the catcher. First one misses up and in, and I think we've talked about this a lot, and I'm sure everybody who's covered Stanford this year has as well, but what's been impressive, even though the home runs weren't there up until the Duke series, is Rintaro Sasaki's ability to drive it the other way.
Yep.
That one misses low, and it's a 2-ball, no-strike count on Somm.
So much focus on his pull power, and we've certainly seen many instances of that, but to be able to go opposite field, it just seems like we're seeing more and more things unlocked from Rintaro as we go along. It's certainly a neat thing.
Chris Bodishbaugh, the pitching coach for Cal, is out there. He's in his 3rd season in Berkeley. He's going to try and settle down Turkington, who suddenly has been knocked off his rhythm here the second time through the order. Base hits from Larson and Sasaki with 2 outs. The RBI single for Rintaro, his 23rd run batted in, now a Stanford best. He's trying to just get his team back to the dugout with a 5-run advantage. 6 runs, 8 hits, no errors for Cal. A run, 4 hits, no errors for Stanford. Meeting adjourned, and we'll see if Somm has a green light on a 2-0 with Turkington starting to lose command just a little bit.
Of course, Mike knew the Cal head coach was David Esker's pitching coach at Cal, 2012 to 2015.
The 2-0, not swinging is Somm. He watches it go by low with a fastball. The count 3-0.
Who also played for the Miami Hurricanes, won the 1999 College World Series. Stanford was there too. They tied for 3rd, lost to Florida State that year.
No pitch. Catches the outside corner. It's 3-1.
Lost to Florida State in a game in which Stanford starter Jason Young went, I want to say, 10 plus and threw 167 pitches that day.
Boy, how things have changed, huh?
Uh-huh.
1 pitch is low, ball 4. And Stanford has loaded up the bases here in the bottom of the 3rd inning, and most of it coming with 2 outs.
And here comes the guy who hit 2 home runs in the same inning against Cal last year.
And Natai, not only with the 2 home runs in 1 inning, but Natai also homered in the final 2 games played against Cal last season. The home game on April 28th and the roadie on May 13th. This would be a good time to extend that streak to 3 games. As Alex Burge, the catcher for Cal, walking back out to the mound as there is some stirring in the Golden Bears bullpen, but no one officially throwing from the mound. A couple of players tossing down there, but nothing that suggests time is running thin here for Turkington.
Saw him at first, Sasaki at second, and Larson at third. Turkington trying to figure out a way out of this.
He struck out Natai to lead off the 2nd. It was a 1-2-3 frame for Turkington. And it was the first time we saw him uncork that changeup. That one in the dirt again. And it's a 1-ball, no strike count on Natai. Stanford's been good with the bases loaded this year. .462 average, 12 hits, 26 tries. And the 1-0, swing and a miss. There was that changeup, pulled the string on it again.
Yep.
Natai 1 for 2 with the bases loaded this season. 3 on the left side of the infield for Cal. The 1-1. Bounced up the middle, over the bag at second. It's Advincula, throws to first and retires the side. Stanford leaves the bases loaded. They do get on the board, though, thanks to an RBI single from Rintaro Sasaki with 2 outs. And we're through 3 on the farm. It's Cal 6 and Stanford 1. It's the top of the 4th inning here at Klein Field at Sunken Diamond. Lights beginning to take effect here in Stanford, California on this gorgeous Friday night. First game of a 3-game series between Stanford and Cal. And the Golden Bears with a 6-1 advantage here, top 4. Ben Reimer's back to work for the Card against Carl Schmidt, the left fielder for Cal. He bats 9th in the order. And the first pitch is a fastball, good one on the outer half for a called strike. Schmidt, Advincula, and Burge here for the Golden Bears, 9-1-2. Schmidt had a big hit in that 5-run 2nd inning. 2-run single. Came around to score on the homer by Advincula. Breaking ball misses. And the count evens up at a ball and a strike.
Final line on Stanford starter Matt Scott, and it's not a set of numbers we're used to reading when it comes to him. An inning and 2/3, 7 hits, 6 runs all earned, 1 walk, 1 strikeout. There's 41 pitches.
And the first home run he's allowed this season, that was back in the 1st, off the bat of Alex Burge. Breaking ball bounced foul off the facing of the Cal dugout. He's ahead. The count 1-2 is Reimers. Reimers has been good in relief so far. Ended the 2nd on 1 pitch and got through the 3rd after allowing a leadoff single, but still faced the minimum thanks to a 5-4-3 double play. That one fouled back to the screen, and we'll do it again at a ball and 2 strikes.
Reimers picked up a win against the Washington Huskies back on February 24th, an inning and 2/3 scoreless that day against the Huskies.
Part of a great start to the season for Reimers out of the pen. As that one misses high with a fastball, it's 2 balls and 2 strikes. Started the season tossing 7 1/3 scoreless, and that was across his first 5 outings of the year. A nice job of settling in for Reimers after an up and down 2024 season, and that is a called 3rd strike. Went fastball knee high, and it froze Carl Schmidt. First strikeout for Reimers.
Well, that's a terrific pitching sequence there for Reimers. Kind of showed a few different things. Changed up planes a little bit, changed speeds a couple times, and then just finished them off with a fastball in the inside corner. Well done. Like his old man used to do in this ballpark.
Yes, sir.
Way back in the day.
That's right. Tom Reimers played baseball here and helped take Stanford to the '95 College World Series. First pitch to Jaron Advincula is in there for a called strike. Tom Reimers would go on to get drafted by the Chicago White Sox in the '96 MLB draft in the 15th round. Spent a couple of seasons in the minors. Never made it higher than A-ball with the Hickory Crawdads. The one lifted in the air, foul, straight back out of play. Shout out the Sally League.
Yeah, Tom certainly pitched some big-time innings here in this ballpark. Part of a terrific bullpen, especially in that '95 season. That went to Omaha. That was Kyle Peterson's freshman year. Chad Hutchinson's freshman year. Pretty good pitchers on the squad that season for Mark Marquis and crew.
The 0-2 to Advincula. Breaking ball drops in the dirt. Brings it to a ball and 2 strikes.
Ben has added 17 pounds to his frame from last year, listed at 6'3", 210 in 2025.
It's helped him go a little bit deeper in games here and a little more consistency in his second season. That one is under the glove of Rentaro Sasaki and into right field for a base hit. Big turn at first by Advincula. He wants 2, head first slide, and he's in there safely. A home run in the second, now a double in the fourth for the Golden Bears leadoff man. He stays hot. And that will put a runner in scoring position for Alex Burge.
And Advincula is well within reach of having his 4th straight 3-hit game. He's already extended his RBI streak now to 5 straight games with that 2-run shot in the second. And he's already extended his hit streak to 7 games.
Alex Burge is up, the catcher for Cal, with a man on second, 1 out. And Cal leading it 6-1. Breaking ball stays outside. Burge got the scoring started for Cal in the first with a solo home run to left center field, just over the 375 sign out there in the alley. First home run allowed this year by Stanford starter Matt Scott. 1-0. Just misses the edge with a fastball. He's in the driver's seat here, ahead 2-0.
That being said, Stanford still plus 19 in home run differential as of right now. The Cardinals have homered 29 times.
Outfield playing Burge to go that way towards left center. Almost nobody in right field. Reynolds is in the alley. That one misses high, and now it's 3 balls and no strikes as Reimers suddenly struggling to find the zone. Reimers this season out of the bullpen, his longest outing 2 1/3, which he would reach if he finishes off this frame. Fastball down and in, ball 4. So Reimers walks Burge. It's the second free pass that Burge has received in the game. A dangerous man coming up in Cade Campbell, but he's been quiet so far today, 0 for 2. .38 pitches is the season high as well for Reimers. Last season got all the way up to 67 in relief here on the farm against Arizona on April 8th. It went 3 1/3 in that one. Just at 23 pitches here, though, is Reimers. Swing and a miss by Campbell on the first offering.
Reimers kind of rearing back and dealing that one. Campbell from Lodi, California.
The pitch, swing and a miss. Good off-speed one, kept just above the dirt. Campbell struggling to find it here tonight. He's behind in the count 0-2. Campbell entering play, the average was at 417. He swings and misses on another one in the dirt. A dejected walk back to the dugout for Cade Campbell, who's been one of the best hitters in the ACC all season, but 0 for 3 with a couple of Ks today.
Cade Campbell completely crossed up on that one. The bottom just dropped out. Reimers with a terrific bounce-back sequence there. Work not done. So here comes Ryan Taman.
Taman, the designated hitter for Cal. He's 1 for 2, singled in the second. He was the 9th man to bat for Cal in the second inning. They put up 5 runs in that frame. Swings at the first pitch and launches one out towards left center field, but that's playable for Marsh. Went back now, comes in a few steps, and reaching to his left, he's got it, and the inning is over. So Cal leaves a couple of runners on base. That's 2 1/3 shutout innings of work for Reimers out of the pen. Halfway through 4, Cal still leading Stanford 6-1. Downstairs 4th here on the farm. Cal 6, Stanford 1. As Brady Reynolds makes his way to the box, it'll be Reynolds, Becerra, and Bates for Stanford. They'll go 6, 7, and 8 in the order here as they continue to try and chip away at this deficit. It was 6-0. Stanford got a run in the third, but left the bases loaded. Rotaro Sasaki with an RBI single with 2 down in that inning. Stanford on the board, and Reynolds swings at the first pitch, comes up empty on one bearing in on his hands. It's 0-1. Reynolds raking 10th in the ACC in slugging percentage, entering the weekend series against the Golden Bears. Fastball misses away, 1 ball and 1 strike. Not bad to have a guy who's top 10 in the conference in slugging percentage be your 6 hitter. That's the kind of length and depth that this Stanford lineup has had here in 2025. One hopper to second. In the hole was Ed Vincula. He was positioned right there in the shift. He'll sling it to first base for the out.
Didn't even have to move. And Turkington effective so far, 3 1/3, 3 strikeouts, 1 walk, and 58 pitches worth of work. We've seen him change speeds particularly effectively at times, and he's been able to cross up Cardinal bats more often than not.
Brings up Timo Becerra, the shortstop, as Cal continues to shift with now 3 on the left side of the infield for the righty Becerra. First one stays high, a ball and no strikes. We were talking earlier in the game about how Cal's in the middle of a 9-game road trip, so they'll be on the road again next weekend in ACC play. Stanford will be on the road as well next weekend as Becerra shoots one to left field for a knock. Over towards the line and gathering is Schmidt. Big turn at first by Becerra, but he's back with a 1-out single. Stanford will go on the road to Virginia, but they're in a stretch where they got a lot of ACC series at home, right? The one against Duke last weekend, Cal here. And then you're only gonna hit the road once in the month of April. Well, they'll go to Clemson. That should put Stanford, in my eyes, in a pretty good spot if they're able to continue playing well at home like they have this year. They're 9-2 here at Sunken Diamond. Should put them near the top of the ACC standings when the calendar turns to May, as Charlie Bates takes a fastball low for a ball.
That being said, things do balance out just a little bit in May as Stanford has to hop on a plane and head out to Boston for 3. Then they'll host Grand Canyon for a home series. That'll be the final series played here at home during the regular season. Then out to NC State and then to the ACC tournament from there.
And that's where the difference in schedules is noticeable because Cal, yes, they got a lot of games on the road right now, but they will finish up their ACC play in May, home against Florida State, home against Boston College. So they won't have to travel for a couple of weeks prior to the conference tournament, as Bates showed bunt, pulled back, and took a strike.
Meanwhile, I'm pretty sure that Stanford will I would imagine, stay in the Tar Heel state after they finish up business in Raleigh, instead of having to fly all the way back home and then turn right back around and come back out to the Tar Heel state for the ACC tournament just a couple days after that.
Right, it's a brand new format this year in the ACC tournament, with the tournament expanding to 16 teams. All 16 teams will meet in Durham.
Yep.
Single elimination this year. It's a 6-day format as Bates sends one to left center field for a base hit. Becerra wants to go first to third. He's going to get in there safely with a head-first slide as the throw came into second. And once again, the bottom of the order for Stanford starting to do its thing with runners on the corners here in just one out.
Yeah, Bates with a nice piece of hitting there going opposite field, and Becerra decisive the entire way, knowing that he was going to go ahead and try to take third, and he got there. Charlie Bates celebrates a bit.
The bracket for the ACC championship is just fascinating. It's a large bracket, and it's a lot of baseball.
That's the adjective you came up with? Mine was mind-blowing.
Well, when you've done college baseball for a long enough time, you've seen some brackets that
Yes,
are just
there is that.
outlandish. First pitch of breaking ball to Tatum Marsh. It misses outside. So, look, you put yourself in a really good position the higher up you are in the standings, of course. But if you're a top 4 seed, you'll bypass the first and second rounds entirely and go straight to the quarterfinals, which saves you 2 of the 6 days of action. 1-0 off the end of the bat, slow roller towards second. Taking it himself is Mutsaridis. He's not going to have a throw back to first base. So a fielder's choice means Marsh reaches safely, Bates is retired, Becerra comes in to score from third, and Stanford adds on for the second consecutive inning. It's now 6-2.
Turns over the lineup, too, with Trevor Haskins coming to the plate. Although he's been a bit quiet so far, but we know that can change in a hurry. So it kind of sounds like the men's basketball setup. Of course, the men's basketball tournament, 15 teams. The women's basketball tournament, too, where if you were in the top 4, you automatically advanced. You got a double bye straight to the quarterfinal round.
Runner goes. First pitch a called strike. The throw to second base. Trying to swim around the tag is Marsh. He's unable to do so. A caught stealing will end the inning. But Stanford, another run on the board. Fielder's choice scored a run off the bat of Tatum Marsh. And we head to the 5th. Stanford now down by 4. It's 6-2. Top of the 5th inning. Stanford starting to chip away at this one. It's 6-2 Cal. Brian Brownfield here, and let's get back to hearing some Troy Clarity.
Thank you, Brian. All Cal at the start. Stanford has scored the last couple of runs to get a little bit closer as we begin the 5th inning. At the meat of the Cal batting order now, P.J. Mutsaridis, who singled and scored in the 2nd inning. Part of a big frame for the Bears in which they put 5 across. Stanford comes into this game on a 4-game win streak. Cal beat St. Mary's in a midweek affair, trying to make it 2 wins in a row. Ben Reimers gets Mutsaridis to swing on the first pitch for strike 1. Reimers still in the game for the Cardinals. He replaced Matt Scott, who went just an inning and 2/3, but was then chased by the Bears. 0-1. Floats low one outside. 1-1. P.J. Mutsaridis, San Jose, California, Valley Christian High School. His great-grandparents are California graduates. Proud alumni from the class of 42. How about that? 1-1. Right back to Reimers. Recovers. And throws over the first in time for the out.
That was a hot shot and darn near perfect glove placement by Ben Reimers. He almost made the glove sag. I think that got him right in the palm, it looked like, of that glove. Just wasn't able to hang on. I think that's what made the loud sound as it got him right there on the heel of the glove. But able to locate it quickly and get over to first base and not need any attention, maybe just a second to catch his breath and get the heartbeat coming down a few few beats per minute.
Yeah, I thought I might be writing down L1 in my score sheet. But G13 works just the same. Here's Jacob French, who's been a bit of a pest. 2 for 2 so far this evening. A couple of singles. Came around to score in the second inning. Off speed, outside corner for strike one. French from Benicia, California. Although I'm told that the locals prefer Benicia.
What?
I remember being told that a few years ago.
I have never heard that. And I know a few folks who live there.
There's a fastball that just misses perhaps a bit low. 1-1. Now, this was coming from a person who grew up in Vallejo, so I put some credence in it. I admittedly haven't spent a whole lot of time in Benicia. Curve misses upstairs, 2-1. You know, you drive through there, you know, maybe if you're trying to do the bypass, you know, up towards Fairfield and Sacramento, up 680.
Not stopping there for a lot, I will admit that.
It's a nice town,
No, it is.
I understand.
It is a forgotten East Bay location.
On a couple of rolls now, Nadi can't corral it. And French safe at first. Boy, Nadi had a long way to go, and he was able to get there, but couldn't maintain his balance along the way.
Yeah, and I was a little confused as to why Sasaki didn't try and make a play on that one. He came off the bag and followed it all the way through, but right as it got time to really reach down and grab that one, he pulled off of it thinking that maybe Jimmy Natai was closer behind him and had a clean look at it for what could have been a 4-1 play. But if Sasaki's able to get there, it probably winds up just being a routine and kind of pedestrian 3-1 bounce out.
As it is, it's Cal's 10th base hit of the evening. And Seth Gwynn is very glad that he wears a batting helmet, and that those are mandatory when you are at the plate on the collegiate level. Another look.
Well, it's never fun, but if there is any silver lining, it was a breaking ball that slipped out of the hand of Ben Reimer, so it wasn't coming in with a lot of speed, and Gwynn was able to position himself so he could wear that one.
Yeah, if they didn't conk in the noggin with the pitch, that's about the best case scenario.
Still wouldn't want to get hit in the noggin.
No.
I'd rather wear that one on the shoulder if I'm going to do that.
No, and if that were me, I probably wouldn't head down to first. I'd probably just head right to the dugout, pick up my gear, and then start a new life doing something else.
Broadcasting, perhaps?
Maybe. We'll see. Action in the Stanford bullpen. It's Ryan Speciak. Speciak, part of a terrific effort from the Stanford bullpen against Duke last week. So his warm-up tosses have increased in intensity. Cal's been intense right from the start here. They lead 6-2. They were ahead 6-0 at the end of 2. Bears beat Stanford 3 out of 5 meetings last year. And looking to get the upper hand here in the early portion of this series. A rivalry that goes back decades, even centuries. Check that, the 339th time by my quick math that Stanford and Cal are meeting on the baseball field. Smaldino at the plate. Fastball misses low. 1-0. The Smaldino, who doubled and scored in the second, popped up to the catcher in the third.
Hate to check the math, but I think that's just since 1959.
You're right.
Because on the Cal side, they have 527 games, Stanford and Cal. That's a lot.
Popped up again into a darkened sky. Som underneath and hangs on as he goes to ground. A deceptively difficult play to make.
You're absolutely right, because you called it, right? As that ball went up, we noticed it went from, okay, it's white, and now it's completely dark up there. So it's tough to locate, and when you have as much foul ground to cover as there is here at Sunken Diamond, it's one of the most in the NCAA. You got to cover a lot of ground out there as a catcher. Som did a great job, hung with it, and I like how he went down to the ground, following it all the way through, not just trying to take a stab at it. That's a veteran move.
Charlie Som, the senior catcher, making a relatively difficult play look relatively simple. That'll be it for Ben Reimers as Ryan Speciak comes in to be Stanford's third pitcher of the evening. We'll give you the scoop on him in just a moment. Cal ahead of Stanford 6-2 on ACC Network Extra. Ryan Speciak in his warm-up tosses for Stanford, with the Bears leading 6-2 in the top half of the fifth inning. Speciak, a sophomore from Goleta, California. And he has been part of a terrific effort by the Stanford bullpen for much of the season. Speciak's number is about to make his seventh appearance on the year. A 1-0 record, an ERA of 5.87. 7 2/3 innings pitched, 8 hits, 6 runs, 5 earned, 3 walks, and 10 strikeouts. With opposing batters hitting .267 against Speciak, who has hit 2 batters so far. 2 on, 2 out. Carl Schmidt, the bottom of the Bears order, at the plate for Cal. And he pops this one up into a darkened sky again. Shallow right field coming in. Reynolds makes the catch and puts a wrap on the top of the fifth inning. 6-2. Bullpen continues to get it done for the Cardinal and keep Stanford in striking distance. Bottom fifth in just a moment on ACC Network Extra. Bottom of the fifth inning, Stanford down 6-2 on the California Golden Bears. It begins with the top of the order for the Cardinal, with Trevor Haskins, who's 0 for 2 tonight. He was at the plate when Tatum Marsh was caught stealing 2-4 to end the bottom half of the fourth. So Haskins at the plate now, ACC Player of the Week for February 24th. And ready to face Austin Turkington, who has been largely terrific so far in this one. Now beginning his third time through the order. Turkington 4+ now, 6 hits, 2 runs both earned, 1 walk, and 3 strikeouts. 69 pitches. That one's up high. 1-1 to Haskins. Fantastic evening here on the farm. First of 3 between Stanford and Cal. That one tails and misses somewhere. 2-1.
You know, it's not just a fantastic night, it's a fantastic weekend on the farm. There are so many events going on, so many major events, ranked teams, postseason basketball. A lot of fun this weekend.
Yeah. Haskins takes a mighty cut, 2-2. Men's basketball NIT against Kent State on Sunday. Women's lacrosse, ranked number 4 in the country, versus number 1 Boston College tomorrow. Got him. Swing and a miss on the breaking ball. Haskins down on strikes. Turkington's been locked in.
Another top-ranked team in action, women's water polo against 11th-ranked Harvard. That's at 1 o'clock, same time as lacrosse, so you can bounce back and forth between those. The water polo also has San Jose State this weekend. And don't forget the wraparound game, as Stanford will play San Jose State on Monday.
Yeah.
It'll be a fun weekend.
Finals week in the books. Everyone back to competition as Larson swings and misses in front of the breaking ball again there from Turkington for strike 1.
After everybody undoubtedly aced all their finals.
100%. I got all A's, coach. Put me back in. Larson takes this one down low. He's 1 for 2 on the evening. Single back in the third. Spring break next week. Spring quarter begins the week after that. Laser down the first base line. Count goes to 1-2. Spring sports will certainly take center stage. Certainly here in the next couple of weeks. Stanford softball run-ruled Notre Dame in South Bend earlier today.
Boy, did they ever.
A 1-2 pitch. Off speed and tagged by Larson into right field for a base hit. Larson's second hit of the evening. Well, after being quiet the first 2 innings, Stanford has picked up a bit of momentum since the bottom half of the third. And they first got on the board thanks to an RBI single by the young man walking up to the plate right now, Rintaro Sasaki. There he is.
Well, look, it coincides with the second and now third time through the order for Stanford, so there should be a lot more familiarity with what Turkington is throwing. And the way Stanford's bats have been this season, they're taking advantage.
High strike called. Sasaki 2 for 2 today with that RBI single in the third, also singled in the first. Cranked down the first base line, just foul.
Just foul is right. I mean, that one...
That was a screamer.
But again, the hands of Sasaki are just so quick. And what I love seeing is, now that he's got that first collegiate home run out of the way, you start to see all the pro comps on social media. And on the platform formerly known as Twitter, I saw a side-by-side of his swing and Bryce Harper's swing at the same time. They were nearly identical.
Pitch misses just outside. Count goes to 1-2.
If you're a left-handed hitter and you're going to have a swing that's like any lefties in the game currently, I think I'd want mine to look like Bryce Harper.
Wouldn't be a bad place to start. I miss Twitter. The 1-2 pitch. Doesn't get the high strike called here, 2-2.
But it's certainly, speaking of Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, it loved seeing the success that Rintaro Sasaki had this past weekend.
No doubt.
Against Duke and finally breaking free in the home run column.
On the ground, past 2 diving infielders and into right field for a base hit. Larson hustling to third and in. Rintaro Sasaki, Ichi, Ni, San. And now runners at the corners with 1 out.
And he just does it in so many different ways. I know the slugging percentage may be a little bit low compared to where you'd expect it for a guy who's batting north of 360. But that's been the impressive thing, is even though it took him a long time to get the home runs and he hasn't had a ton of extra base hits, he's still getting on base. He's still finding a way to alter the way that opposing pitchers are attacking not just himself over the course of a game, but the guys around him in the batting order, guys like Charlie Somm up right now.
Somm walked in his last plate appearance, struck out in the first. Runners at the corners with 1 out. And Somm takes a fastball right down the middle for strike 1.
Like, I dare you to try and find 5 more desirable spots to bat in the country right now than behind Rintaro Sasaki.
The 0-1 goes up and cranks that one foul to the Cal dugout. Somm had an RBI in the first 4 games of the season, all against Cal State Fullerton. Tries to go up and get the fastball and can't. That's a big strikeout for Turkington.
And a good morning, good afternoon, and good night sequence right there from Austin Turkington. Got Somm to climb the ladder, reared back for a little extra on that one, and keeping Stanford at bay with runners in scoring position. That's been a big part of the success for Turkington, allowing him to get to this point in the game. Yes, Stanford has added on, but some of these innings could have been a lot bigger if not for a couple of big outs late and starting to settle in with runners in scoring position.
Work not done yet. Jimmy Nadai Watches the breaking ball go right down the middle for strike one. Another first pitch strike dealt by Turkington. Nadi 0 for 2. Strikeout and a ground out tonight. As the sky is almost completely dark here at Sunken Diamond. No balls and 1 strike. Taken low and away, 1-1. Turkington struck out 10 in 7 innings of work in a terrific start at Duke 2 weeks ago tonight. The 1-1 pitch. Back up the middle and through for a base hit. Larson scores. Sasaki holds up at third. Nadi knocks in Stanford's third run of the night. It's 6-3.
9 hits for Stanford against Austin Turkington. All 9 have been singles. But they're starting to get a little more hard hit. The deeper we're getting into this game, you're seeing that they're putting some better swings on them. And there's still nobody tossing down there for Cal in their bullpen. They're going to ride out their Friday guy here and trust that he can minimize the damage as he did in the third, as he did in the fourth.
So perhaps a slight gamble here by Mike New and the Cal coaching brain trust. Off the fists, into left field, and the running grab by Carl Schmidt ends the inning. Stanford chips away. They get another one. And now Cal's lead has been cut in half. 6-3 our score. Top 6 in just a moment on ACC Network Extra. Six-3, Cal leads Stanford as we head to the top of the 6th inning. Troy Clarity here, and Brian Brownfield with a call for the 6th and the 7th.
It's the top of the order for Cal in this 6-3 game. Stanford has been chipping away after falling into a 6-0 hole after 2 runs in the 3rd, 4th, and 5th innings for the Card. Jaron Advincula will lead it off for the Golden Bears. His 4th time to the plate, he has been a hot hitter. He's got a 2-run home run and a double already tonight. Ryan Spesiak deals the first pitch. It's inside with a fastball. Spesiak took over in the 5th inning with a fly out to right field off the bat of Carl Schmidt. It was a 1-pitch, 1-out scenario to strand a couple of Golden Bears on base. That fastball misses up and away. It's now a 2-ball, no strike count.
Nice work by Ben Reimers, throwing 3 scoreless innings and striking out a couple.
That scoreless inning streak for Stanford's bullpen up to 16 2/3 innings across 4+ games, this being the 5th. Advincula in the driver's seat here. He's ahead 3-0.
And if he gets another hit tonight, that'll be his 4th straight 3-hit game.
Been on base in 16 straight. And I believe, our home plate umpire, Ramon Armendariz, has said it's 3-1 as Advincula was not in the box and ready to hit in time. So he goes against the pitch clock, and now he swings and misses, and now it's 3-2 in the blink of an eye. We saw that come into play on Saturday in Rintaro Sasaki's first at-bat. It was a 3-2 count, so it struck him out. The payoff is lifted foul straight back and behind us. The oddities and intricacies of baseball in 2025. There is a timer now. Infield shift is on. Becerra near the bag at second base, but not fully around. Another 3-2 slashed at and foul down the left field line.
Yeah, whoever said there's not a clock in baseball, well, no longer the case. It's not been the case for the last few years now.
I will admit, while I'm still maybe not the biggest fan of the pitch clock as a whole, I will say that it is a bit more enjoyable to be at a game, and maybe it's done in 2.5 hours instead of pushing 4 sometimes, as that ball is crushed into deep center field. But out there is Reynolds, who was playing in the alley. I had to look down and go, wait, that's Reynolds out there in center field, because the outfielders were so swung around towards left center. That's an F9 in almost straightaway center field for out number 1.
And I thought that ball was going to carry a lot further than it eventually did when it came off of Advincula's bat. It stays in the park. Out number 1.
There's Alex Burge, the catcher for the Golden Bears. He's been aboard all 3 times tonight. Homered in the first. He has walked in each of his last 2 trips to the plate. Same type of alignment for Stanford here as that first pitch misses away. The infield shifted towards the right side and the outfield going the other way.
I am appreciative that the run rule has come to college baseball now. I do like that move.
The 1-0. Outside, 2 balls and no strikes. Look, it just saves the wear and tear on you over the course of a long season.
Yeah.
It avoids you having to go deeper and deeper into your bullpens and what can largely be considered maybe some meaningless innings late in games, and it adds up over the course of a season. 2-0 pitch is high, it's 3-0.
Well, and it saves some awkward finals, too. I remember Washington a couple years ago. I wish I could remember who they played. I think it was Colorado State or something like that. They beat them 32-7. Really?
You can still do that in 7 innings.
You could, but still.
Helps when you score 23 runs in an inning, like I think multiple teams have done this season, as Burge is the recipient of his 3rd walk of the game, this one on 4 pitches. The other argument to the run rule, and maybe why some people maybe would be opposed to it, would be the thought of, well, it prevents guys from getting into games later who aren't going to see the opportunity to develop in those situations. But largely, as Charlie Somm calls time and he'll make his way out to the mound for a conference, I think largely it's a beneficial.
And you could argue that how can you develop in a 32-7 ball game? But the point taken. But certainly glad that the run rule is a part of college baseball in this day and age. Now, what I do not like is that you can still get credited with a save in a run rule situation, in a run rule win, as you look at Trevor Moore, who's warming up in the Stanford bullpen. I'm not a big fan of that. Just because your team explodes for a couple of innings late in the game to break free, and just because you came on in a situation that, okay, at that time you came on, called for a save situation, is that really a save? I don't think so. So I think that might need to be tweaked a little bit going forward. But what do I know?
We're just old men yelling at clouds at this point.
There are no clouds.
Well, that's a good point. So we're just yelling into the dark abyss up above as Thomas Eager has now come out. So perhaps that was done just to give Moore some extra time to get loose down there in the bullpen. He has stopped throwing. No sign has been made yet by Coach Eager, but Moore appears ready to come into the ball game as they huddle up around Ryan Spasiak. Mendez, our own plate umpire, comes out. The call to the bullpen has been made. We'll tell you about the Stanford pitching change when we come on back. A runner aboard in the top of the 6th inning, and Cal leads it 6-3. Third reliever of the night on for Stanford, with the Cardinal trailing at 6-3. A runner aboard here in the 6th inning for Cal, and Trevor Moore will take over out of the bullpen, trying to keep the zeros up on the board. Trevor Moore wears number 34 on his backside, 6'1", 218. He's a junior out of Golden, Colorado. And Trevor Moore, who has really settled into this back end of the Stanford bullpen this year, he had 28 appearances last season, which was second most in the Pac-12, and he's parlayed that into a really good start to his junior season. 1-0 with an ERA of 3.68 in 6 previous appearances. He's got 19 strikeouts, and opponents are hitting .204 against the right-hander. He draws Cade Campbell with a man on first and 1 out here in the top of the 6th. And Trevor Moore kicks and delivers the first pitch. Slides in there for a strike. It's 0-1.
And Campbell looking for his first bit of success this evening with a ground out and a couple of strikeouts. So it hasn't been the best for him so far tonight, but he's had a lot of help from his teammates to help pick him up.
Right side of the infield is wide open. And he goes to right field. In the air, Reynolds over towards the corner, loses the cap, can't get the ball. It's over into the corner. Up to third base is Burge. And they're going to hold him up with a late stop sign as that throw came whipped in at the last second by Jimmy Natai. So a double into the right field corner, right on cue. Cade Campbell is on the board with a hit, making a double here in his 4th at-bat of the night. And 2 runners in scoring position for Cal.
Boy, and Burge was being waved around there initially. And he did take a bit of a wide turn at third, but then all of a sudden the red light came on. He had to scamper back into third.
So Cal threatening against the Stanford bullpen. Ryan Taman, the designated hitter, is up. He's 1 for 3 tonight. Infield continues to play about halfway. The corners even with their respective bags. Middle infielders are deep. First pitch, off speed in the dirt, smothered by Song.
Moore was lights out against North Carolina 2 weeks ago tonight. 3 shutout innings. Struck out 4 along the way. No decision.
He's been scoreless over his last 5 innings of work. 1-0, swing and a miss. Good pitch by Trevor Moore.
Yeah, a bit of movement there, too, just cutting away, tailing away from Taman.
Moore working quickly. His 1-1. Swing and a miss. Another one that was in the dirt. Caught Taman fishing.
Taman went down to his knees on that one.
Strikeout such a big part of the success for Trevor Moore. At 57 a year ago, 9 per 9 innings. That one's lifted in the air, shallow right field down the line. Long run for Reynolds, loses the cap. Sasaki can't make the play on it either. It's going to score Burge from third. Up to second base goes Taman on a bloop double down the right field line. And Cal finally breaks through against the Stanford bullpen. It's 7-3.
Boy, and Taman just put that one in an absolutely perfect spot. Sasaki giving chase, Reynolds coming in, falls right in between the both of them. And Burge, who had been given the green light and then the red light on the last play, scores much more easily this time around.
And a rare statistical oddity. A double with a man on second base does not score that run.
Yeah.
As Campbell only goes to third. He had to wait and make sure that ball wasn't caught. It's Moutsouridis. And the first pitch flutters high off the right hand of Trevor Moore. So the run officially charged to Ryan Spesiak. He gets 2 outs and allows 1 run. It's the first run allowed by a Stanford reliever in 5 games, as that one is fouled to the on-deck circle and a barehanded snag made by Jacob French.
Well, and it's been such a big reason why Stanford has had 8 comeback wins so far this season. It's not just the bats. You've got to have your bullpen keeping the opponents within striking distance, and the Stanford bullpen, by and large, has done just that.
Look, the outcome of this game alone has changed significantly over the last 3 innings, thanks in large part to the efforts of Ben Reimers and Ryan Spesiak before that.
Yep.
Reimers 3 shutout innings out of the bullpen, settling things down after Matt Scott only got 5 outs. A chance for Cal to put another crooked number on the board here. It's 2-1, and the pitch to Moutsouridis is high with a fastball. 3-1 the count.
Reed's first team All Pac-12 last year as a freshman.
The pitch swung on and missed. Moore challenged him with a fastball. Wins the battle, and it's 3-2. French on deck. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Target setup inner half. The pitch is there for a called third strike. Fastball right at the knees. It froze Mutsaritas, and a big out number 2 to get.
Boy, Trevor Moore wins that chess match in a big way. Picture perfect pitch. Had PJ guessing, and he guessed wrong. Kept his bat on the shoulder. Now he's headed back to the dugout.
Jacob French has been a thorn in the side of Stanford all night long, and he's trying to bring home a couple more for the Golden Bears. He's got runners at second and third, and 2 outs. Infield swung around to the right side with 3 on that side. He goes right over him into the right field corner. It scores both men on base. French is up to second base. He's going to try and truck on for third. Here comes the relay, and it's not in time. A 2-run triple for Jacob French. It's his 4th hit of the night. And Cal, second crooked number of the night. They pushed the lead to 9-3.
Jacob French, c'est incroyable. Pour toi. Meanwhile, Stanford saying sacre bleu.
No parlez-vous français. But the extra base hits have really been the story of the night for Cal in comparison to Stanford, as Trevor Moore's night is quickly done. He faces 4 batters, gets 1 out, and Stanford will go right back to the bullpen as they'll bring on Cohen Gomez. We'll have the pitch and change for you when we come on back. Cal's open it up. It's now 9-3. Third pitcher of the inning for Stanford. It's the top of the 6th. Cal has scored 3 times to extend its lead to 9-3. It's Cohen Gomez on for his second collegiate outing. Gomez, a freshman out of Anaheim Hills, California, 6'3", 212, the right-hander stands, and he's on the third base half of the rubber. Facing Seth Gwynn, first pitch fouled back over the screen and over the press box. Cohen Gomez made his collegiate debut at home against Xavier on March 2nd. Threw a couple of scoreless innings in that one. Faced 8 batters. The 1 bounces over the left shoulder of Somm all the way to the backstop. And sauntering in to score is Jacob French. The wild pitch plates a run. And Cal has put up 10 runs against the Stanford pitching staff tonight. It's 10-3.
And you could kind of see that developing as soon as Gomez let that one go. As that ball was just aimed, really, and just completely missed. Went about 58 feet, bounced in front of Somm, who really didn't have a chance at it.
And that one slips out of his hand high, count 2 balls and a strike. So that closes the book on Trevor Moore. Faces 4 batters, gives up 2 doubles and a triple, and all 3 came in to score. Fastball in the outside corner. It's 2 balls and 2 strikes. A 4 spot in the 6th for Cal. They've scored 10 times, a run in the first, 5 in the second. And the 2-2 drops in there for a called third strike. So Gomez comes in, gets the backwards K to end the inning, but not before Cal scores 4 times against 3 Stanford pitchers, and we head to the bottom of the 6th inning. It's Cal 10, Stanford 3 on ACC Network Extra. Bottom of the 6th inning on the farm. It's Cal 10, it's Stanford 3, and Austin Turkington stays out there for the Golden Bears, looking to put a 0 up on the board. He hadn't done that since the 2nd inning. Stanford has scored in the 3rd, 4th, and 5th innings, but just 1 run in all 3 of those frames. And to start putting up runs in bunches here if they want to claw their way back. Now down by 7. The first pitch to Timo Becerra drops down and away. 1 ball and no strikes on the 90th pitch of the night for Turkington.
Well, and make no mistake, that was a crucial top half of the 6th for the Bears. With Stanford getting closer, now the Bears with a lot more separation.
And Turkington gets a swing and a miss to even the count up at a ball and a strike. He's put a lot of guys on base. Stanford has 9 hits against the Friday starter for the Golden Bears, but all 9 of those hits have been singles. 1-1. Slashed at and fouled over the grandstands on the right side.
Meanwhile, 6 extra base hits by my count for Cal.
I got 7.
I'll go with your numbers. My math has already proven faulty tonight.
At any rate, it's quite the disparity. The 1-2 pitch is right there on the outside corner for a called third strike. And that's 6 strikeouts tonight for Austin Turkington.
But Turkington looking to put together back-to-back terrific starts. That breaking ball just right there. And Becerra just doesn't even offer at it. Turkington's in cruise control. He's been playing the Reaper tonight so far against Stanford.
As Charlie Bates comes up to Don't Fear the Reaper. It's just a good walk-up song.
Yes.
First pitch
100%.
at the knees for a called strike.
100%.
Got some good ones on the team. Of course, Jimmy Natai has men down under.
Yep.
Fitting.
Yep, makes sense.
Colin Gomez had an odd one as he was out there.
It must be what the cool kids are listening to.
It ain't what we're listening to, that's for sure. You and I both looked at each other like, what are we listening to? Are we at a rave? Do they even play that at raves?
I don't think
know.
so. I don't think so.
I'm not sure. Here's the 1-1. That's a strike on the inside corner to Bates. He falls behind 1-2.
A couple quick scores around the rest of the ACC. A battle between 2 ranked teams, Clemson and Wake Forest. That's probably your marquee series of the weekend.
Bates, liner right to third base. Campbell's the only one on the left side of the infield. And, of course, it went right to him. It's out number 2.
It's been that kind of day for the Cal Bears, for the most part, as Clemson, 7th-ranked team in the country, held off number 11 Wake Forest 5-1. That's a final. That is the only series involving 2 ranked teams amongst ACC action so far this week. Duke in the win column as they beat Virginia 9-5. Just went final in Miami as the Hurricanes beat the Seminoles 9-6. That game just literally went final a few minutes ago, which would have been past my bedtime if we were on the East Coast.
Late night baseball in Florida.
They started at 8 p.m. local time there.
That's odd. The 0-1 pitch, jam shot, blooper left side of the infield. 2 guys there. Campbell calls him off, makes the catch, and what a shutdown inning for Austin Turkington. Quality start, locked up. 6 innings, 3 runs allowed. As we head to the 7th, all Golden Bears tonight on the farm. They lead at 10-3. Top of the 7th here at Sunken Diamond. It's California 10 and Stanford 3. Brian Brownfield and Troy Clarity with you on this Friday night. Game 1 of the 3-game series and a very, very busy weekend on the farm. Dominic Smaldino will lead off. He's the first baseman for Cal against Cohen Gomez. Got the last out of the 6th on a strikeout. And he delivers the first pitch fouled back over the netting by Smaldino.
Smaldino has made Charlie Somm very busy. A couple of pop-ups to the catcher for Dominic. Outside of that, a double and a run scored back in the 2nd.
Kicking the pitch is an overhand curve that stays up and away. 1 ball and 1 strike. Gomez, a 2024 graduate of Canyon High School in Anaheim Hills. This team, the CIF Division IV championship and a state regional title last year. Sent to short, moving to his left, Becerra. Slings it high, and Sasaki can't put the tag down. So it pulled Sasaki off the bag. Becerra had to rush it. And Smaldino will reach safely to open up the 7.
E6 on the play. So throw errant. And Smaldino just swipes by Sasaki.
It's just the 14th error of the season for Stanford, and this, the 19th game of the year for the Cardinal. First pitch to Carl Schmidt in there for a strike on a fastball. One of the best defensive teams in the ACC. Second in the conference, as a matter of fact, top 25 nationally. Stanford with its .980 fielding percentage. 0-1, lined in the left center field. That's down for a hit. Around second, Smaldino. He'll get to third, and they're going to send him on home. Here comes the throw by Becerra to the plate. It's not in time. It kicks off his glove. Holding at second base is Schmidt. An RBI double for the 9th place man for the Golden Bears. Give him 3 RBIs tonight, and it's 11-3 Cal.
Well, and it's just been effective hitting really from top to bottom, with Schmidt adding to his portfolio from earlier tonight. And the aggressive base running that I thought we would see on an earlier sequence coming into play here with Smaldino beating out the throw from Becerra.
Now 14 hits tonight for Cal's offense after 17 hits on Tuesday. That's a good week.
Mm-hmm.
And the first pitch to Advincula misses, I believe, low. Yep, 1 ball and no strikes. Advincula's had a good night. 2-run homer in the 2nd, double in the 4th. 1-0. Low. 2 balls and no strikes.
Only Bear without a base hit so far today is Seth Gwynn, and even he has a sac fly RBI at the very least.
Everyone has been on base tonight for Cal. And 8 of the 9 guys have scored. Crushed into the right field corner where there's absolutely nobody there, but it is just foul, says our first base umpire, Jose Esteres. With the way that Stanford had the outfield shifted, Advincula could have run for a long, long time.
Yeah.
There's nobody in the frame there.
Well, that was close.
That was really close. Watching it live with my fantastic eyesight, of course, I thought that was fair. But it looks like Cal now going to have a pinch runner at second base on a 2-1 count. It's Ethan Kodama. So the first entry into the scorebook tonight in the 9-hole for Cal, as Kodama takes over at second. The pitch by Cohen Gomez. Towering pop-up behind the bag at first base. Out there is Natai, the second baseman in shallow right field. He makes the catch for out number 1. That brings up the catcher, Alex Burge. Burge has been on base 4 times tonight. A home run in the first, and 3 walks ever since. Stanford has walked 3, hit 1, and allowed 14 hits. It's a total of 19 base runners tonight for Cal when you add it all up.
Well, that's a good way to get yourself, at the very least, in position to have big innings and to do big things, and the Bears have been able to do that so far in this game.
The pitch catches the inside corner for a strike. It's 0-1. We've grown so accustomed to seeing Stanford's offense do that here this season, and their pitching staff really limiting what opposing offenses have been able to do against them, particularly late in games with the fantastic work of the bullpen. A 1 breaking ball. Thought it dropped in, but it didn't. It's 1 ball and 1 strike.
That Rainbow just missing, Matt, maybe just a little bit up high.
Don't see too many overhand curves anymore. in baseball. That was the thing when I pitched. Probably why I didn't go anywhere. There's the 1-1. Fastball down low, 2 balls and a strike. I tried to model my curveball after Barry Zito's.
Well, yeah, sure.
As a left-hander who grew up watching Zito carve up hitters for years, as a young Oakland A's fan, definitely wanted to pitch just like him. High kick and all. 2-1 is swung on and missed. Looked like Gomez pulled the string on that one.
He was a heck of a pitcher at USC. I saw him in this building a couple times. Wearing a Trojans uniform.
Always cool to see guys that you call games for go on to do things like that. Fastball misses inside, 3 balls and 2 strikes. You ever flip through old scorebooks and try to pinpoint guys who have gone on to do something?
Every once in a while.
Depends on how bored you get.
Yeah, it depends. Usually June and July is when I'm looking for stuff to do. But usually the wife has some ideas.
Yeah, that's downtime for you.
Yeah.
3 balls and 2 strikes on Burge. The payoff is launched into right field, and you can forget about that one. Second of the night for Alex Burge. Into the trees in deep right field. And another crooked number for the Golden Bears. It's 13-3.
Take a good look at this one and try to pick it up on your screen, because I'm not sure if you're going to be able to see where it lands. High in the trees, crushed by Burge. And now we're in a run rule situation with the Bears up by 10. We're in the top of the 7th.
An impressive offensive display here tonight for California, coming across the bay and putting a mark on game 1 of this series against a team in Stanford that had been white hot coming in. Cade Campbell's up now. He's 1 for 4 tonight. And the next offering is outside. It's a ball and a strike.
Campbell with the double and a run scored tonight.
Outfield playing straight away for the Golden Bears third baseman. 1's low, 2 balls and a strike.
The 13 runs allowed by Stanford, a season most. I won't call it a season high.
And that one is low, 3 balls and a strike.
Had given up 11 on a couple of occasions, but the Bears touching up Stanford for more runs than any other team to this point in the season.
Yeah, the only 3 times that Stanford has allowed double digits in runs, those games in which 11 runs came across. Skyscraper on the left side of the infield. Calling for it is Haskins. Didn't have to move a whole lot for it, just shuffled the feet, made the catch for out number 2.
On a night in which the Bears have done everything right. Starting pitching has been on point. And when it appeared that Stanford might be scraping its way back into the game, no, they put the thumb down with 4 big runs in the top of the 6th. And they're trying to keep it going here in the 7th. And erase all doubt.
First one low to Ryan Taman. To put this into perspective, Stanford had won 4 in a row in ACC play coming into this one, and had allowed just 7 runs in those 4 games. 1-0 to Taman, cranked into the corner down the left field line, and that's a fair ball, and that's going to be extra bases once again. Taman has doubled for the 2nd time in as many innings. And the hit parade continues, the 9th extra base hit of the night. Make it the 10th extra base hit of the night for California. Thomas Eager coming out. There is bullpen activity down the right field line for Stanford. So perhaps Cohen Gomez and his night will be done here. In his 2nd collegiate appearance, See down there in the bullpen, that's
Cassius
Thomas.
Yeah. Whom I don't believe we have seen so far this season. We have not. But we'll see him now.
We are. So we'll step aside for a quick break. Pitching change on the farm as the Golden Bears lead it 13-3. A 2025 debut here on the farm as we get our first look this season at the right-hander Cassius Thomas, 6'1" junior from LA, and a transfer from Duke, his second season on the farm, but third season in the ACC. We'll face PJ Moutsouridis with 2 down in the 7th inning. It's a 13-3 Cal lead. First one misses down and away. Last season for Thomas here at Stanford, 1-1. ERA was just a shade north of 9. He threw 29 innings across 23 appearances and struck out 25. This is the 1-0. That one is lined down the right field line. It goes foul.
A couple of scoreless innings at Rice on March 3rd of last year. This is Thomas's first game pitched since May 18th, 2024 at UCLA.
He pitched twice in that series. Twice against Arizona State before that. Twice against Arizona. Saw a lot of good run late in the season in the back end of the Stanford bullpen. Popped up near the Stanford dugout. That's going to land inside it, and then it ricocheted up and almost hit a couple of scurrying Cardinals.
Heads up.
Three runs in the inning for Cal. They've scored 7 times in the last 2 innings against a Stanford bullpen that had not allowed a run in nearly 5 straight games.
I'm sure Cassius would have loved to have gotten some action last week when his former team, the Duke Blue Devils, were in town.
1 ball and 2 strikes. Breaking ball fouled straight back, and that got the mask of Ramon Armendariz. Shaken but not stirred, though. He never left his feet.
Ouch.
Looked like I got the shoulder,
Yeah,
right?
shoulder, yeah. It's still an ouch.
It's still an ouch. Braver men than you and I.
That's right. That's why I'm up here.
You're not getting hit by a foul ball, Troy. If you get hit by a foul ball, I'll buy you another Sancho's burrito.
Ooh,
How about
okay,
that?
all right.
Watch this one go through the netting. What, there's a hole in it? 1-2 pitches, fouled back to the right side and out of play.
All right, let me get on my old man chair here. 1995, this Sunken Diamond was in the middle of renovations. That was the first year of the lights. They weren't ready for the season opener, and they were changing around a whole lot of things. There was a game played in which there was no netting behind home plate. So we thought the press box was just going to get barraged with foul balls. It didn't really happen. We all made it through unscathed.
I have no idea how. Who thought that was a good idea? The 1-2 is down and away.
That was the 90s. There were no rules back then.
Show up and bring your glove to the ballpark.
That's
You'll
right.
be fine.
All good.
The press box here, you roll up the windows to be able to see the action, because when they're rolled down, it's not plexiglass or anything, right? It's
Nope.
steel. 2-2 is inside, almost clipped Moutsouridis.
Well, and when foul balls do go into the press box here, which has happened on occasion,
Right.
They usually come in on the opposite side from where we are. We're shaded towards the third base side. They usually come in where the student radio station is, over on the opposite side of the press box.
And you got to get lucky with a bounce, too, right?
Yes.
That's got to be part of it. Payoff pitch, swing and a miss. Cassius Thomas comes in, gets the strikeout of PJ Moutsouridis to end the 7th and send us to stretch time on the farm. Stanford trying to extend this game further past the 7th. It's 13-3 Cal when we come back. Trevor Haskins to lead it off for the Cardinal against Austin Turkington, who is still out there for Cal and looking for a complete game. There is bullpen activity for Cal, left-hander warming up down there. The first pitch to Haskins misses outside, 1 ball and no strikes.
6 strikeouts, 1 walk Turkington has been in control, and the Bears' bats have had his back.
That was pitch number 100. Pitch 101 is a swing and a miss. Haskins over the top of it.
His career high is 107. He set that last week against UVA, went 6 2/3.
Talking earlier about how the game of baseball has changed. Complete games have all but vanished from the sport at nearly every level. Maybe a little more commonplace in the college game because arms are younger and games can end like we might see tonight in 7 innings or in abbreviated fashion. 1-2 pitch to Haskins, line right into the glove of Turkington. Boy, when it's going your way, you know right where to stick that mitt.
That was almost a kick save in the beauty. Turkington just gobbling it up. 1 away.
Haskins hitless in 4 tries tonight as it brings up Brandon Larson. One complete game this season, and it was Turkington. As his first pitch to Larson is fouled straight back. It was that 7-inning performance in the win against Duke on March 7th, a 14-1 victory for the Golden Bears. 3 on the right side for Larson, who's got a couple of hits tonight. The 0-1's up and away, 1 ball and 1 strike.
Well, nowadays it seems like anytime a starting pitcher goes works through 5 innings and gets into the 6th, that's front page news.
I miss the days of pitchers going 7, 8, 9 innings as Larson swings and misses.
Do I need to tell the Jason Young story again?
160 some odd, what would you say, 167, 163, something like that?
It was 167 for Jason Young. Why am I blanking on how many pitches Quinn Matthews threw in that super regional game a couple years ago?
Well, it was 145, I think. Outside to Larson, 2 balls and 2 strikes.
And it caused such a kerfuffle, it was on par of the interruption the next day.
Right. Like, how could they let him do that?
Thomas Eager said, hey, if I had taken Quinn out at any point in that game, he would have killed me.
It was 156. The 2-2 is fouled off to the left and out of play.
I remember talking to Eager about that after that nationwide controversy. He said, A, he was pitching pretty well. B, if I'd walked out there to even think about taking him out, he would not have liked that one bit.
2-2 to Larson, bounce foul.
And, by that point in his career, Matthews had earned that respect, right? I mean, he'd earned that, kind of freedom from the coaches.
I think there's a certain level of respect that a pitcher has to get to in his career to get to that point. But I think it's beneficial for the pitcher's mindset, knowing that he doesn't have to look over his shoulder and fear the hook every time he puts a guy on base.
Yep.
Larson takes up and away. It's 3-2. And I wonder how that has changed in the 21st century and where we are now in the 2020s when it comes to baseball, and the psychology behind a pitcher looking over his shoulder and seeing somebody warming up in the bullpen after he puts a guy on in the 3rd inning as that one is lined right to first base. Maldino didn't have to move. He makes the catch, and just like that, Stanford potentially down to its final out.
You know what else this as we turn to this game for a bit, you know what else this game is boiled down to for the most part? Cal has hit them where they ain't, and Stanford has hit them where they are. And those 2 lineouts, perfect illustrations of that.
Yeah, by my count in the book, I have 4 lineouts tonight on the Stanford side. Rentaro Sasaki has not lined out tonight. Matter of fact, he hasn't been retired as Merge goes out and wants to have a conversation with Turkington.
Yeah, if you need a game extender, here he is.
I mean, I wouldn't mind sticking around on one swing of the bat from Rentaro Sasaki. Powerful freshman first baseman. Up to 364 now is the average for Sasaki on a 3-hit night. Drove home a run in the third. It was the first run of the game for Stanford. They scored once in the third, fourth, and fifth innings to turn what was a 6-0 deficit into a 6-3 deficit as Sasaki pulls off the changeup. He was trying to send one 500 feet. It's 0-1. Three on the right side of the infield. Outfielders very deep. Heels on the track as Sasaki skies one, slicing down the left field line, and that one will make its way into the Cal bullpen. And very quickly, 2 strikes on Sasaki.
Turkington into his 4th time through the order. By my count, he has thrown now 13 first pitch strikes. But again, my math has been faulty all afternoon, so...
I'm not tracking that, so I'm going to go with what you say.
Oh, yes, sweet.
It's one of the few, maybe, things that the Bob Carpenter scorebook lacks, is boxes for balls and strikes.
That's why I make my own.
Yeah. Troy Clarity special. Long look in here for Turkington, but he's ready. And his 0-2 to Sasaki is mashed out to right center field, but this is going to hang up and hang in the yard. Gwynn is there, makes the catch. The crowd exhales with disappointment. And California has taken game 1 of the series in 7 innings by a final score of 13-3. And Troy, I thought we were going to get another Sasaki bomb, maybe on a warmer night here on the farm. Conditions, all things considered, good, but that heavy air perhaps holding that one in. And Stanford, look, all things considered, you got to like the way that they were able to start to come back in this game. But big hits and big innings, the story. Cal had a lot of those. Stanford was just singling them to death. But when Cal needed a big hit, they were able to get it.
Yeah, and Cal just jumped on Stanford right from the start. Alex Burge with the home run, the second batter in the top half of the first. Then in the top half of the second, the party really got started. 2-run single by Carl Schmidt. 2-run home run by Advincula. And then it was a 6-0 Stanford down in the hole after 2 innings of play. And then Stanford did kind of chip into it, made it 6-3, and then at a crucial time in the game, Cal answering once again. An RBI double by Ryan Taman, and then a 2-run triple check that by Jacob French. Really the big hit, and then Alex Burge leaving no doubt with a 2-run shot in the top half of the 7th. Big hits by the Bears all night long. Big pitches by Austin Turkington. Put it all together, and it is a very impressive win for the California Golden Bears. 13 runs, 16 hits, no errors for Cal. Just 3 runs on 7 hits, check that, 9 hits, and 1 error for the Stanford Cardinal. Cal now 11-10 on the season, 3-4 in ACC play, while the Cardinal fall to 15-4 and 5-2 in ACC play as Matt Scott suffers his first loss of the season, falling to 4-1. And Austin Turkington, an impressive win for him. I'd imagine he might appear on an ACC Pitcher of the Week ballot when I get mine in on Monday. I wouldn't be surprised if his name pops up there. But Turkington, super impressive tonight. And, you know, obviously we can talk about the big hits for the Bears all night long, and certainly there were many of them. But Turkington going the distance, striking out 6, walking 1, a complete game, 7-inning affair, scattering just 9 hits, all singles. Stanford not breaking through at any point throughout the course for any big innings tonight.
And seemingly getting better as the night went along as well. After surviving those scares in the 3rd, 4th, and 5th innings, he finished the game by retiring his final 7 in a row. That's impressive.
Yeah, and I think if there was a key at bat maybe for Turkington, I want to go back to the bottom of the 2nd inning at the start, after Cal had taken that 6-0 lead, and he just unleashed a filthy screwball on Jimmy Nadai, completely froze him, and from there, Turkington, for the most part, was running the show. Game 2 between the Cardinal and the Bears tomorrow afternoon, 2:05 p.m. first pitch. We will sign on promptly at 2 p.m. Pacific time right here on ACC Network Extra. Cal will try to win the series outright tomorrow. Stanford will try to salvage a split. Who gets it done? One way to find out. Join us right back here tomorrow afternoon at Sunken Diamond. On behalf of our terrific ACC Network Extra crew, my broadcast partner Brian Brownfield, I'm Troy Clarity. Thank you for joining us here tonight from Klein Field at Sunken Diamond. Bears win big, 13-3 over Stanford on a Friday night on the farm. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay sane, and accomplish greatness.